Hi guys. So as we're nearing the end of 2024, I wanted to go ahead and share 5 habits that allowed me to be who I am today and be able to stand alone and be healthy. First of all, this year I've made it a habit to move around. Moving your body allows you to think. And maintaining that regular exercise, regular workout session allows a time for you to really invest that 1 hour entirely just for yourself. Even at work, when there's 2 bathrooms that I can go to, I purposely make myself go to the further one out so that I can get my steps in. Even when I'm parking, I park at the middle or the end of the parking lot just so I can walk maybe 10 or 20 more steps. And by doing this, I feel like I'm so much less stressed out in finding a spot closest to the entrance. In the end, it saves me a lot more time and energy. And with the winter coming around, I honestly haven't made myself to go to the gym as much. I just kind of get lazy and I get so scared of the snowy roads. And when your hands and your feet, when they're just ice cold, I find me heading towards home rather than to the gym. But I did get this indoor bike that allowed me to stay a lot more active, and it's honestly been a life changer. With this Yeso fitness bike, I've been able to maintain my physical health and build healthy habits regardless of the weather outdoors. And by creating an environment that's just so easy and accessible, I find that it's just so much easier to get things done. I got the GM1 Plus bike, and all of these are equipped with the 360 rotating screen, which just makes it so much easier when you have it in the living room and when you're trying to watch something. It just kind of acts as a TV for me. Having this bike has made exercise so much convenient and more fun regardless of the weather outdoors. You can literally screen share kind of anything from your phone. You just need to get your phone connected and also log into your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth, and you're ready to go. The Yeso Fitness app also gives you access to hundreds of other exercise classes, including cardio, cycling, and so on. It's so nice to be able to AirPlay your entire screen. So when you're reading, when you're watching on YouTube, you can just mindlessly scroll down and read while exercising and working out your legs. For any of you who are interested, I'll leave the link down below so that you can see what it's all about. The next habit I chose to pick up, and I have been continuing for the last 6 years, is reading. Honestly, just being able to read is such a generous gesture, just because you can get all of someone's wisdom that they attained in their entire lifetime, and you just have that zip file from that person with all the concentrated wisdom, life lessons, and fun all compressed down into one book. I think books also act like a time machine. You can't ever go back into history, but you can always explore the world through the lens of someone else. Some of the best books that I read this year was The Lonely Century, The Anxious Generation, Psychology of Money, my all-time favorite, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Same as Ever, also by the same author of Psychology of Money, The Millionaire Next Door, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and the book original, and many other Korean books that I read in my native tongue. I'm also going through the book Personal MBA right now. All of these books are really just signals of what my interests are, what I want to pursue, how I want to live my life. People often say that reading books is going to change your life. I agreed at a certain point, but right now my answer is no, not a single book is ever going to change your life. They're just gonna all be footsteps, they're gonna be all traces of where your life is gonna be headed, but ultimately the life that you build, the life that you own, is gonna be entirely up to you. A single book isn't gonna change your life, but consistency is key. A few years ago, I was reading like 100 books every summer, and I found that at the end of the summer, I didn't really remember what each book was about. What I learned then was that I actually needed to act upon it. I needed to really think on why that author was writing what he or she wrote. I needed to come up with questions on my own end rather than just believing and reading and just chewing on every single word that the author wrote down. This year, I got to really think back and ask myself, out of all the books that I read over the entire year or last year, how many of them do I actually really know by heart? How many of them have I really incorporated into my life? And after reading each book, when I summarized it to a friend, a family member, or when I wrote down some of the key highlights that came out to me, I realized that's that's when the book material actually becomes my own. So I've been learning to do a little bit more of this each book that I read. My goals for next year is to continue to read, but also engage in a lot of various topics. I've never been too interested in history, but I do want to read a little bit more, because all of the books that I have been reading, they incorporate a lot about the history, the past, the mindset of people, and how the past resembles the future. So I want to read a little bit more about history and see how that aligns with the current world. Another challenge that I want to put up for myself is to read a little bit more of the classics. When I was young, I read a lot of classics, including Heidi, Princess, Little Prince. I loved The Little House on the Prairie. And so all of these slow novels, they're kind of like slow food. But these days, my mind is just filled with fast highlights that's just shooting out stuff at me. And it's been a while since I read a long, good classic. But I find that classics really leave a trace of something that no fantasy books nowadays do. I've always wanted to complete the novel Demian, but I've never have, so that's gonna be my goal for the first quarter of 2025. Reading can't always be fun, but it's also just kind of training your brain. I want to train my brain early on so that I'll be able to converse more depth, more knowledge, and more wisdom with other people as I age. The third habit is to write and record. This is the only way for you or anyone to see any sort of improvement. For example, when you're learning the guitar, in the beginning as a novice player, you aren't ever gonna be like, oh, I'm so good at it on your first try. It's gonna tire you out at some point, because no matter how much you try, you just feel like you're not getting there. But when you do keep records of yourself playing day 1, day 6, day 23, day 121, and you just keep on going, you see the progress, and it's that visual progress, and it's that marks that motivates you to do more, that motivates you to do better. This year on New Year's Eve, I had just mindlessly jotted down a bunch of bucket lists that I personally wanted to fulfill. And interestingly, 80% of them have become true. And the other 20 I couldn't do because of my visa status, because I couldn't go to another country. But other than that, it was so surprising that I had actually fulfilled this. And I find that there's so much power in really trying to visualize your future, visualizing what your dreams are. And it becomes the default standing of all the actions you do, all the words, who you meet, what you do. So setting these bucket lists and actually reflecting back and seeing how much of them you fulfilled actually empowers you to do more and set direct goals that is at a reachable distance. If I hadn't written these bucket lists down, I would have just passed by them and just said oh, it's nothing unusual, I just did what I did and that's the result I got. By writing these goals down and by setting those standards for myself, I think I've been able to get a hold of my actions and kind of go one step towards the right direction. I also read this book called Show Your Work. And basically this book is kind of telling you, show your work, show your progress. And so when you do, the people who share the same mindset, who share the same experience, they will all come together and it will create a community. It will be powerful. And with those people, with that community, you'll be able to do so much more. And I agree on this because this year, as I started uploading more videos on YouTube, I've been seeing a lot more progress, a lot of improvements that I've seen in myself, and also places that I lack and need more improvement on. If I had not created a platform for me to experience more and share my thoughts, share my progress, I wouldn't be doing this right now. It's allowed me to have such a richer mindset and be a creator, not just a consumer. In this society, there's so much things, experiences, people shouting at you to consume more and more and more. And I think that's all the more that we should be trying to create. The fourth habit is to be financially literate. Being financially literate allows you to be more independent. And when you can keep track of the one resource that a lot of people are aiming going towards money, it gives you a bit of like a check and a balance. You see the things that you're being more invested into. You're always looking for ways to you're also searching for ways to raise your value, to raise your hourly rate. For the longest time, I was thinking rich just meant high income, but as soon as that monthly salary stops, that's it. That's just your rock hard limit. But when you start becoming a creator and when you start becoming more financially literate, you realize that you need to actually act upon raising your own actual value so that there's no limit above you. Being wealthy is to have the income that surpasses your monthly expenses. And being financially literate, and it allows you to see the actual genuine motive for you earning your money. And I think for the longest time, I was just so focused on just being rich, just having a net worth of income rather than being wealthy and being generous. And it was these two differences that just kind of changed who I am this year. Being financially literate allows you to be more independent. It allows you to stay on top of things, and when someone that you've maybe relied on is no longer available, and when you're going through a transition, when there's less people around you to help you, you just feel a little bit more confident in that way that, oh, you can control some of the resources that you have to really gain what you want, to really sacrifice things for the things that you really need even more. Some people that I know, they think highly of maybe convenience. So they are fine spending $1,000 more on a business ticket. Some people, they prefer good food. So they splurge on a 300-course meal at a Michelin star. For some people, it's travel, it's family, it's entertainment. And so all of these money dials that people have are going to be different. And it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. You gotta be financially literate, and I'm still learning and trying to find my tastes, my goals, and kind of like gauge my direction around personal finances. So this is a continuing goal that I want to set up. I'm reading more, and I'm also exploring ways to earn more passive income. And the final but not the least is being disconnected. These days, it's really easy to say, oh, I'm friends with that person. But the meaning of friends actually seems like, oh, I see her feed on Instagram once every week, but I've never really texted her in 3 years. I used to have a lot of these relationships, and at one moment it just kind of struck me, and I was looking at my 600 friends online, and I was like, how many of them do I really want to come to my wedding or to even my funeral? Like, if I accidentally come across them on the street, would I really like smile and run towards them and just give them a hug? And I realized most of the time it's a no. I just decided I'm just in that stage of life where I want to focus on my current people around me a little bit more. I've actually been going to the gym without my phone, and when I did this, it was a huge change that I noticed. When I had my phone during a workout, after every set, I would just like kind of be on my phone, and I felt as if the phone was just calling towards me. A lot of people say that a phone is a tool, but a tool always just waits until it's being used. But my phone, it never did that. It was just calling out to me. So I decided, okay, because it's not a tool, because it's an addiction, because I can't think about anything else except this when it's around me, I decided just for 1 hour every day, let's just set it aside and then let's go to the gym. So when I started doing this, I was able to focus a lot more. I was able to sweat out at the gym in just like less than 20 minutes. It was not the case when I had my phone around me. And after this change, I realized, oh, if I'm doing something, I need to do it with my entire heart, entire effort. I can't half-heartedly do something. And with that attitude, I won't be able to do anything. By getting disconnected, I was able to connect more with the real world. So in this time of the new year's 2025, I want to be able to connect more with people and and solely connect just for the purpose of me investing more into the existing relationship. I don't want 10 flimsy relationships. I'd rather have 2 or 3 genuine, strong relationships that I can hold on to the rest of my life. So these 5 habits have made me stronger, but these 5 habits are things that I want to strengthen as the New Year's comes around. I would love to listen to some habits that you've been carrying on for some time or something that you'd like to improve on in the New Year's. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye.